Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I woke up early again this morning. My experience in waking up early is that usually I don't wake up early or too early unless my brain is moving and thinking about something and usually excited about something. So my brain must be excited about the digital asset markets and anticipating something big. And I can tell you my conscious brain is thinking like that. So I'm assuming my subconscious brain is also thinking like that. Well, I was literally just peppered with direct messages and different news articles and things today. So I'm going to get going through it. The first thing that I kind of missed this. This is like news from a day or two ago, but I missed it, and it's too important not to bring up. From Michael at VAL5 links, according to an announcement, Bitmain's mining farm is up and running at 25 megawatts, which is half the capacity it will ultimately reach once it hits 50 megawatts. Bitmain says it will be the largest Bitcoin mining facility in the world. Now, Bitmain has launched this in Rockdale, Texas. Now, you have to believe that the reason they did this is because of all of the talk about China controlling the Bitcoin mining. Well, it's still a Chinese company, so they may solve some of that perception, but they're still moving. It's still a Chinese company that controls this mining, whether you put it in Texas or you keep it in China. And so, but it is going to be the largest Bitcoin mining facility. So now, instead of saying Bitcoin mining is controlled out of China, we can say Bitcoin mining is controlled out of China and companies that are owned by China in the United States. So not a whole lot has changed. Sergeant Obi-Wan at Sergeant Obi-Wan sent me this. There's a couple of significant players who have kind of come out of nowhere this morning that I noticed. The first one is Barry Silbert. Barry Silbert has not tweeted since August the 7th. And I've asked people what happened to Barry Silbert. Well, he comes out of nowhere, and he was a fairly active tweeter. He comes out of nowhere. It makes you wonder if Barry Silbert knows that it's time, because it sure seems, with all the things going on with Ripple, it sure seems like a lot of things have changed in the last week or two. And it really feels like a lot of things are in play now that weren't in play even 3 weeks ago. And now Barry Silbert shows up out of nowhere and tweets 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is this morning, okay? Follow Grayscale Invest. You're going to want to go check out Grayscale this morning. They must be making a pretty big announcement. And let me get rid of this one. Okay. Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 sent me this, and this is another thing. I have never seen Tim Draper really address Ripple and XRP like this. And I've put him in the category of people that will not talk about Ripple or XRP. And now all of a sudden, and everybody who's listening to my voice has always thought that Tim Draper was an owner. All he ever does is talks about Bitcoin. But we've always thought that he must be an owner in XRP, probably a very large owner of XRP. Well, I don't know what this is an answer to, but it's some kind of Q&A. And this is Tim Draper answering this. If I buy Ripple XRP now in October 2019, will I get the most profits possible? Draper says, experts agree that the crypto winter is coming to an end. This means that the period of market decline is over. And in the near future, we will expect growth and a favorable mood to enter the market. Drinking some coffee there. However, things are not so simple with Ripple. Looking at the 3-time growth of Bitcoin over the past 5 months, one would accept a similar result from XRP. It's no secret that Bitcoin sets the general mood of the market. In this case, the logical growth would have looked at least beyond the level of 60 cents or even 90 cents, but it didn't follow. To call Ripple developers' actions wrong is impossible. The company is actively developing, expanding the sphere of influence, enlisting the support of large financial institutions, and constantly improving the technology of transfers. In addition, Ripple is owned by SBI, a large corporation with companies such as R3. Everything indicates that the current situation, only the calm before the storm, in our case, before the explosive growth. That is from Tim Draper. And then you have Barry Silbert showing back up. Something is afoot, in my opinion. For those of you that aren't on Twitter, I wanted to show you my son's drawing. I promised you a drawing yesterday. My son calls this, I actually helped him name it, but he calls this A New Reality Unfolds in Washington, D.C. He drew this yesterday. I told you he would have XRP on it and he would have Ripple on it. He might have some cash flying around. He added Warren Davidson and Steve Mnuchin. I thought his Steve Mnuchin drawing was excellent. And then he's got, of course, the capital in the picture. But and somebody told me I needed to start having him sign and date these and frame them, and we can sell them once we moon that these might be worth something. Who knows? It makes you think. But anyway, Mr. B at XRP Mr. sent me this. FinTech Week 2019, Washington, D.C. continues today with a couple of heavy hitters this afternoon. They're going to have Jay Clayton at 110 to 140, and then Brad Garlinghouse at 155 to 240. If it is possible to stream this, I can promise you that Alex Cobb will be doing so, and that's probably where I will watch this if we're able to watch it. So check out Alex Cobb's channel and give him a subscribe if you're wanting to watch that. He'll probably have it. Okay, then Stephen Bull from the DIA. Now, we're still seeing, this week so far, we've seen Jungle Inc. receive an invitation to swell, and now Stephen Bull from the DIP has received one. Now, this guy has provided all sorts of great information, mainly in the form of short videos over the last couple of years, and he definitely deserves an invite. He says, I'm thinking if I should go or not. I don't know. I can manage my schedule, which is already a bit too tight. So maybe we can get Stephen to come. I hope he does come. I would like to shake his hand. X-Men XRP at XRP33 sent this out. I had not seen this tweet. There's a few things from yesterday I was going to show you real quick. Brad Garlinghouse had tweeted out Ripple's officially in D.C. We're also glad to welcome Craig Phillips. And this is the guy that was the advisor to Steve Mnuchin to the board, and are honored to join the Blockchain Association, which I need to follow. So that's Brad Garlinghouse's tweet. And then the ticket attorney at Fixed Tickets Vegas sent this. This is a picture I did not see until later yesterday. Welcome to Ripple Board of Directors, Craig Phillips, DC. This picture has to be my thumbnail today. So I might have to wedge in a little XRP in here in between these guys because that's a great shot. And next from Ron Hammond. Ron Hammond had tweeted out. Now this guy, Ron Hammond, is the former he's manager of government relations for Ripple, and he's former legislative lead for Token Taxonomy Act, former legislative assistant for Warren Davidson. Now I think this guy had joined up with Ripple a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago, as I recall. He had tweeted that out. Then Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. This was interesting. I think Naveen Gupta was on CNBC yesterday. From Stephen Bull from the DIA, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years, 2 or 3 global banks like Finabler using Ripple originate out of GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, in remittance space. And then he's got the video here. And then XRP Crypto Wolf had also put a little post on this. Ripple's managing director, Naveen Blockchain, is there's a huge opportunity for Ripple and XRP in the Middle East, since they're the largest remittance market in the world. I wouldn't be surprised to see brands originating from the GCC in the next few years. Naveen Gupta is one of my favorite guys that works for Ripple because he is mega positive. He is the one who, I always remind you, he said that Ripple is here to put a dent in the universe. They're not here to be just some startup. And that I love. Okay, XRP Crypto Wolf. Ripple's, this is Ashish Birla, said RippleNet's on-demand liquidity is replacing outdated cross-border payments. Ripple's ODL is offering financial institutions an option to source liquidity through XRP since payment providers and fintechs want to prioritize digital remittances. So this guy's also been a major player in with Ripple over the last few years. These guys are every time they tweet or say something, we cover it here because my ears always perk up. XRP Crypto Wolf. I mean, this guy was on fire. He fired out like several tweets to me, and just about all of them I have to go over because he summarizes things well. A draft bill published by U.S. lawmaker, who's this? Sylvia Garcia, would regulate a stable coin as a security. If signed into law, the rule would give the SEC jurisdictional authority over stable coins and their issuers. So far, it's just a draft bill being introduced. Now, for something interesting from XRP Crypto, the Trump administration acted to deflate and pop the Bitcoin bubble in 2017 by allowing the introduction of Bitcoin futures. Ex-CFTC chairman Giancarlo, what was his name? Chris Giancarlo said, WTF, we were right about the CBOE, CME Bitcoin futures being used to crash Bitcoin in the crypto market. And this doesn't surprise me at all. And we've heard whispers of this and seen talk of this over the last year and a half. This is Christopher Giancarlo. He says, one of the untold stories of the past few years is that the CFT, the Treasury, the SEC, National Economic Council director at the time, Gary Cohn, believed that the launch of Bitcoin futures would have the impact of popping the Bitcoin bubble, and it worked. And so he says, if you don't have the derivative, then all you've got are believers, and it's a believers market. So they intentionally wanted to insert non-believers into the market, which was probably comprised of their people shorting it in order to tank the market. Now, in the short run, and while the market's very small, they are able to do this type of thing. But in the longer run, when things get more liquid and there's more money in this market, it'll be much more difficult for them to manipulate the market. He says here, one other quote, coming out of 2008 financial crisis, the legit criticism of regulators was along the lines of, where were they during the expansion of the real estate mortgage bubble, and why didn't they take the steps to pop that bubble when they could have? Well, the digital asset investor has an obvious question for Giancarlo and all these government people, which is, okay, well, you've known and you've intentionally been blowing up the stock market bubble for going on 10 years now. You've been printing money. You've been doing QE 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you call it, whatever new marketing term you've created for it. You've been doing that over and over. You've blown up the biggest bubble in the history of the stock market. Okay, so where's your responsibility to deflate that bubble? You guys seem to be all on board to continue not only to not responsibly deflate it, but to continue to inflate it despite all the evidence that it's a bubble, and you know it's a bubble. So why aren't you addressing that? That's my question. And I believe the answer to that question is because it is the government's worst nightmare to deflate that one, because that is the one where they lose power. And that's the reason. And that's the one where they don't get reelected. Okay, XRP Crypto Facebook's Zuckerberg will tell U.S. Congress that China threatens U.S. financial dominance if Libra isn't allowed to launch. He said Libra can bring financial services to 1.7 billion unbanked people. They don't need Libra because they have Ripple and XRP. It's basically said he's going to tell Congress that China threatens the. Let me tell Mark Zuckerberg, look, I know you're a billionaire, I know you're a genius, but you're still a pretty young man who hasn't necessarily been around for a long time. So if I'm able to give you just a tiny piece of advice, don't come off. You used to go and say this type thing to these Congress people They already think you're an arrogant kid. Don't come off as some arrogant guy to these people, or you will not. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how much you've accomplished in your life so far. You will piss them off. This is just from observation of politicians over my years. I know I can't tell you much, Mr. Zuckerberg, but I can tell you that these people embody arrogance, and they don't want some young person to come up there. Even if it's a billionaire young person who runs one of the largest companies in the world, they don't want you to come up there and this would come off as arrogant. If I'm able to ever give a billionaire a piece of advice, that's the advice I would give you. And I'm sure you won't listen. MIS Gaming sent me this. And this, remember, Ripple started running the commercial yesterday. He was showing me that Ripple's commercials are now running over YouTubers' videos. I think it ran over Alex Cobb's. This is over the Modern Investor's video. And so this is pretty cool when they're running ads now over videos. Okay, and finally, let me pull this up. This is the first person ever. Yesterday, I was asked by someone, how do I get a title on your channel? And I said, my quick response, easy response was make me laugh. My second response would be creative. Now, what you're looking at is you're looking at, I think I'm saying this right. I used Google pronunciation thing to say this right. He's the official sign cure to the Digital Asset Investor channel, which I loved, and it made me laugh because the definition of this is that he does nothing. So I thought that was a great title for my channel. Well, this is the first guy who was asked for a second title on my channel. I thought it was a very bold move. He actually went to Mr. B and asked, but then he sent me this reason. He's selling me on his second title, so I had to read it to you. Hello, DAI. As your official sign cure of the Digital Asset Investor channel, it is incumbent upon me to remain silent, a veritable shadow in your courageously busy world. And yet, sometimes events require those of us who lurk in the shadows to emerge in order to reveal our true purpose and even more secret identities. The DAI has magnanimously appointed an Army Ranger, a Navy SEAL, an Australian Commando, and a U.S. Marine as his official channel's former warriors. Thus, we come to the point. I would like to apply for an additional, the official former Green Beret to the Digital Asset Investor channel. I realize my application is perilous. After all, you have granted me a most important title already. How many people can claim to be on the payroll of the court and not be expected to do a damn thing? That is the life of a sign cure. And yet a Green Beret cannot sit idly and watch his fellow service members claim exalted titles and not make his own application. No, sir, that will not do. I spoke at great length with Mr. B about this yesterday. He appeared to be willing to act as my sponsor. Further, we discussed the notion of stolen valor. I sent him proof documentation. Was always a Green Beret. I attached that proof for your eyes only and ask you not to mention my real name, but you will notice I graduated from Special Forces Qualification course in 1978. So I am considerably older than you. That fact you can mention since it is all part of this humor, of what this humor entails. Thank you so much for your consideration of this matter, your good reporting, your work for the community, and your sense of humor. I cannot imagine how you can vilify coffee with cinnamon. P.S. I grew up in San Francisco. I know the city as well as you know your way around a beef brisket. If you want great advice on where you might go in the city with kids as your sign cure, I cannot tell you, but as your Green Beret, I can. Well, there you go, folks. You want a title? That's how it's done. So, for the first time ever, this is an important moment on this channel. We have an official sign cure to the Digital Asset Investor channel who does nothing for this channel. And at the same time, he is now the official Green Beret of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And in that capacity, He can do all sorts of things. Congratulations, SFODA9. And thanks for the laugh this morning. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that it is possible, if you make me laugh, to not only get a title, but possibly now to get two. Thank you for listening.